KLOS. It's Full Metal Jackie, so happy to say that on the show tonight, the one and only Glenn Danzig.
Hey, Jackie.
How are ya?
Good.
So great to see you.
The same. We're trying to do it for a while, but
here we are.
Powers that be.
Well, here you are, and obviously, as always, you have 10 billion things going on and so much great stuff. This past week, we heard about the upcoming Danzig album, and got to talk about this Blackest of the Blackfest because it looks tremendous.
Yeah, this year we're finally upping the ante. We're doing it, with a couple partners now that have come in. We're doing it the way I've always wanted to do it, which we've been building to. So now it's a 2-day fest. It's not just bands. You're going to get a ton of other stuff. Yeah, there's going to be rides. I got to pick the rides. We're going to have Hellhole, and we're going to have Spider. It's going to be Lucha Underground Wrestling there with all the darker wrestlers. It's going to be camping overnight if you stay from Friday to Saturday. We're going to plan is to have a haunted drive-in.
Awesome.
Tombstones. You just put your sleeping bag there and watch schlocky horror movies till you pass out. It's going to be a whole thing.
Totally, and this is it's happening Memorial Day weekend, May 26th and 27th, Oak Canyon Park in Orange County, and it's being billed as 2 days of music, mayhem, and camping. And I mean, it truly is. Let's talk about some of the bands. Obviously, Danzig, we've got Ministry, Suicidal Tendencies, Atreyu, COC, Vamps, Marduk, Suicide Silence, Venom, Devil Driver, Belphegor, Discharge, Comic Christ, Butcher Babies. There's so many bands that are on this festival, too many to mention. But as you mentioned, I mean, Blackest of the Black, the tour has existed before, but this is a whole different thing. This is a weekend festival. Yeah,
originally it started out in 2003 as 2 shows, one in Phoenix at the Mesa Amphitheater, and of course one at the now defunct Universal Amphitheater. And my whole idea originally was to have it kind of like this, but getting that support from a lot of people who didn't really believe in it in the beginning was tough. And now, finally, after all these years, people are like ready to take a chance on it. There's nothing like it. So
let's talk about, besides the band and what a huge lineup this is, but you were talking about the fact that there's camping, and it's not just after the show's over, you go back to your tent and get tanked. There's actually activities after the show.
There's activities. There's a Castle Danzig you can go in. It's kind of like a horror funhouse, but not so much. There's a blood tub with one of my Verada characters, Drukia, in the blood tub.
Oh my gosh.
And just, it's, more stuff inside of Castle Danzig. Plus, some of the stuff we talked about, like the wrestling, the Lucha Underground is going to come in and have some stuff. We're going to have the Haunted Drive-In. So much to do, and then there's going to be exhibits and different things, so it's more an experience. Rides,
it's got everything.
It's kind of like, people have always complained there's nothing to do Memorial Day weekend. Well, now you've got something to do, so definitely come out and support it, and hopefully we can do it again next year too.
Oh, so for KLOS listeners, tomorrow there's a KLOS pre-sale starting tomorrow at noon. KLOS workforce member price of $66.66 for you. Gotta love that. It's a 2-day pass. That runs through Tuesday at midnight. The regular on sale happens after that. If you're not a workforce member, sign up now and get that pre-sale password, 955KLOS.com. We're going to be checking out music from bands on the Blackest of the Black Festival tonight. It's Whiplash, 95.5 KLOS. Got so much to talk about, starting to touch on the Blackest of the Black Fest again, happening May 26th and 27th. Tickets pre-sale starting tomorrow. 955KLOS.com will have all the information. And let's talk about the upcoming Danzig album. Black Laden Crown is coming out in May. It's the first Danzig album of all new material since 2010. And
it's a long time.
It is a long time. But it's not like you've been not doing anything.
No, Skeletons came out about a year and a half, 2 years ago. But it's a covers record, that I've been working on forever. So this is, I guess technically the first new Danzig material in 7 years.
And you've never really made albums based on a timeline, only whenever you felt like a creative spark.
You know what? I know that bands put out records now every year just to stay on the road, but, I don't give a rat's ass about that. I'll change it up.
Well, what made you feel a need to make Black Laden Crown?
I just start recording and writing, and I do it at my own pace. And then when it's ready to come out and I'm happy with what I've done, then I set a release date. It's my label. I can do whatever I want.
I do what I want. I'm Glenn Danzig, and I do what I want.
Hey, I've done it for a long time. I worked really hard to get to this level, and
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, I think I've always been a fan of just the idea that, obviously as a fan of a band, I love it when there's music coming out every couple of years. It's cool, but not because you have to. I think it should be because you want to.
For me, I agree. It's like if I have something to say, I'm going to say it. But if I don't, I'm not going to force it, and I'm not just going to put out an album because the label wants me to put out an album or because haven't had a record out in a while. It's like, it's going to be a terrible album if you do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's why sometimes records sound forced, because they are.
They are forced, yeah. It's a shame. I'm sure bands don't really want to do that. I think they do it out of necessity, maybe.
And Glenn, throughout your career, you've sort of been really hands-on with all types of creative expression, more than just music, obviously. How do art, photography, and writing in turn motivate you musically?
I think it's all connected. One affects the other, and it can get you excited about the other thing. It's good to step away too from music for a while and do something else so you can come back to it fresh, at least in my case. But music for me, first and foremost, is what I do. Just so you know, there are lots of hippie festivals, laying in the mud and stuff like that, which is not my thing. There is nothing like this. And actually, one of the reasons I started Blackest was because in Europe, they have lots of festivals like this, and we don't.
Totally.
And, a lot of these bands you won't see on the mainstream festival.
No.
So this is going to be a game changer, especially if it's a big success, which we're hoping it will be. And, you're going to get to see predominantly metal bands.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, huge lineup. But I guess I'm just sort of trying to imagine a young Glenn Danzig camping out at a metal festival somewhere. Did this ever happen? Were you ever with a sleeping bag?
There were no metal festivals.
Listen, there's been festivals, maybe not here in the U.S., but you've been around the world. You were camping out at Wacken one year?
No. We're usually, if we're on tour and we're doing a festival, we're on tour and we're in another city the next night.
Right.
Or at another festival or at some venue, the next night. So it's different. But, I'm glad that festivals have evolved to this kind of thing and what they have in Europe.
Totally.
I think unless you're here from the States and you've gone over to Europe and you've been to one of the festivals there, which is just 3 stages. By the way, this has 2 stages.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to see bands right after one right after
no, that's
another.
why it's killers, because it's always that changeover that makes it hard to have
It's not going to be
more
really,
bands.
it's 2 stages rotating, one after another.
Non-stop.
So you're not going to have a long changeover.
Tonight, let's talk about the new Danzig album. It's called Black Laden Crown. It's coming out in May. And the last Danzig album was Skeletons, all cover songs. Before that, the last album was 7 years ago. How much music do you make, Glenn, for your own fulfillment that never gets released?
A bunch. Yeah, so there's probably at least 4 songs that I haven't even done anything other than a scratch vocal on from this record. And they're good songs. It's just that the ones I picked I felt were better, or the ones that didn't make it, there may be a couple that I just didn't have the time to devote to it because it was such a good song. I really want a great vocal for it, a great melody, and so they'll have to wait.
Is there a Danzig vault of
there
music?
There is, yes. There's a lot of stuff left over from Lost Tracks that didn't make it, and there's a lot of unfinished stuff. And then, of course, since that time, there's tracks that didn't make it to Death Red. There's cover songs that didn't make it onto the cover record. Like I did a cover of Iggy Pop's Fun Time.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Me and Tommy did a really good job. The guitars are very heavy. And, stuff like that. There's a lot of, I think I did another track with Cherie because they wouldn't let us use the track I did with Cherie.
Okay.
The publishers.
Right.
Which is a drag. It came out really good, too. She did it on stage with us, though, at Universal.
Awesome.
Yeah, Cherie is awesome.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot of that just, maybe one day
maybe one day. So hopefully we'll be putting some of that stuff out.
Glenn Danzig with us on the show tonight. Blackest of the Blackfest coming May 26 and 27, Oak Canyon Park in Orange County. 2 days of music, mayhem, and camping, and watching horror films, and getting the crap scared out of you, and just having a blast. That's what this looks like to me. You might actually get me camping. I've never been camping, and I think this kind of thing might make me actually go camping. Sort of like
it's gonna be. It's not gonna be like, you know.
Are these porta potties, or what's the deal?
Oh, I don't know about any of that stuff. I would imagine they're gonna have some kind of facility for people. I don't think you're gonna go out in the woods like a bear, you know.
Well, it's going to be great. Again, KLOS pre-sale starting tomorrow at noon. Go to 955KLOS.com and sign up to be a workforce member if you aren't already one, because you will get a pre-sale password and you can get tickets before anybody else does. There's a KLOS workforce member price of $66.66.
That's only good until I think Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. It's
when
over. So
get them fast.
Yeah. That's an offer just for the KLOS people.
Yeah, so
I mean, people probably listening to your show and Jonesy's show. Really,
that's the only. Yeah, so I mean, starting Monday at noon is when it's all going to go down. So definitely get tickets, because the price will obviously go up for when they're on sale for the general public.
That's correct. Yeah.
Let's go back to some of your music, and given your love of Elvis. Making an album called Danzig Sings Elvis was probably a really special project for you.
It is. I kind of got the idea because I remember that singers, vocalists, whatever, used to do records like that where so-and-so sings just all this person's songs or all songs written by this person, and they never happen anymore. And I just said, I'm going to do a Danzig Sings Elvis record. But of course, it's not like I'm not trying to be Elvis. It's my versions.
Of course,
you know what I mean? Yeah. So a lot of it sounds like on the Skeletons record. The last track is an Everly Brothers cover, really stripped down, kind of creepy, eerie sounding, soundtracky. A lot of it sounds like that. Some of it's traditional, though.
What kind of a connection do you need to feel to a song to make it your own?
For me, I've got to really relate to it, you know, not just lyrically, but the vibe, you know. And for me with Elvis, it's easy because I relate right away to his vocals, because I don't have like that high screechy metal voice. I have a deeper, you know what I mean?
Right.
More singy voice, and not so what you would call traditional metal. But I didn't start in traditional metal. I mean, really, I started out in kind of a metal punk band, you know? So it's a little different. There were no rules, really.
But I mean, with any covers that you've ever done, you clearly make it your own. You're not just like covering the song.
That's important to me. I got to make it my own. Otherwise, it's just if you try to just copy the song, it's always going to be judged against the original. I've said this before, and people have heard the original so many times, they're just going to go, it's terrible. I like the original better. So you got to make it your own and make it, you know, put your stamp on it.
And let's talk for a second about the Misfits reunion shows. They were something that people didn't expect to happen. What type of sentimentality did you feel planning it and then actually doing it?
Well, I don't know that we really planned it. I think Michael at Riot Fest was just persistent. And at the time, Jerry and I had, you know, over the years have had a lot of different, you know, battles, most of them legal issues, that we had resolved. And so we decided if we're going to do it, you know, maybe this is the year to do it. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, famous musicians are dying, or, you know, everyone's getting older. If we're going to do it, want to do it at the level people want to see it at. You know, we don't want to come out in a wheelchair and do it, you know. I would never do that. But we're all still in really good shape, and we just decided, okay, let's do these two shows.
And first of all, I wanted to talk about the Portlandia stuff that you did, which was amazing. I mean, people don't normally get to see that sort of side of you. That must have been a blast to do.
It was a lot of fun. Fred, I just got off tour, and I was only home like a day or two, and I got this email from Fred. He'd gotten my email from Rob Zombie. And he was like, we're trying to get in touch with you. We want you to do this episode. We already hired somebody else, but we'll fire them. Can you do it? And I'm like, well, send me the script. Let me see. And he sent me a script, and it was a lot of dialogue. A lot of it didn't make it into the episode. But I was like, it's pretty cool. I would like to do it. It's pretty funny. So can I come up in a week or two? They go, no, you got to be here tomorrow morning.
Oh my
6 in the morning. I was like, what? They go, you got to fly up today. I'm like, what? And I was like,
so you did it?
I ended up just biting a bullet and doing it. Yeah,
Wow.
and I had to learn all my lines that night in the hotel, and then in the hospitality trailer before going out and doing it.
Well, it came out great. It was hilarious.
It was like 5 pages of dialogue with just me and him, because Carrie's not really in that thing. It's just me and Fred. Those characters are really cool, the weirdos. They're obviously inspired by, metal, black metal, people. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, but I think it was great. And I mean, there seems to be sort of a darkness to the way people perceive you. Why do you think people have trouble imagining you live a normal, everyday life?
I didn't know that they didn't think I lived it. Obviously, I'm not living, some 9-to-5 mutant life, but I'm living the life I want to live, So, and I think people should just live the life they want to live, whatever it is, as long as it's not ISIS or something,
And tell us more about what can people expect from the Blackest of the Black?
Well, of course, you got all these great bands and all those other attractions, but anyone who knows me knows I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, and of course, I love lucha wrestling. One of my favorite wrestlers is Blue Demon. So we couldn't get Blue Demon, but we're going to have Lucha Underground come in, and a lot of their darker wrestlers are going to be wrestling, like Mil Muertes and Pentagon Dark and Drago and Son of Havoc. It's going to be cool. So you're going to get more than just bands. You're going to get to see, some lucha wrestling.
That's
great.
Amazing. Yeah, so full-on experience. Let's go down the lineup again. Danzig, Ministry, Suicidal Tendencies, Atreyu, Corrosion of Conformity, Vamps, Marduk, Suicide Silence, Venom, Devil Driver, Belphegor, Discharge, Common Christ, Butcher Babies, Three Teeth, Ghoul, Ritual, and more. Just got through the whole list for the first time. Wow. It's a lot of bands. It's a lot of bands, and it's a whole weekend. It's an experience. May 26th and May 27th, KLOS is presenting the festival. And again, sign up to be a KLOS workforce member if you haven't already done so at 955klos.com. Tomorrow at noon, you've got your chance at $66.66 2-day passes, but that does not last for long, so get them quick. And Glenn, I'm so psyched for this festival and this new music.
Glad. Yeah.
And, I'm excited that it's not like you went anywhere, but I feel like you're back. There's so much going on. And
it's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's good. The other thing, I guess we mentioned it online, but this June is the 25th anniversary of Danzig 3, How the Gods Kill. So we're going to be playing a bunch of tracks from that record. It's the first Danzig record to break the top, 25. I think it came in at number 21 and I think Ministry was 22 actually that week. Wow. Yeah, so it was a big deal for us because we had never come in that high on Billboard before for an album.
It's a big deal.
When we were on tour, you could see the record in malls, which is a first for Danzig. Yeah, you see your record in a mall, not some mom and pop store, which we had a lot of support from the mom and pops, but you're in a mall and you see your record and it's in the front with all the other big bands. It's kind of a big deal.
Like Sam Goody, record stores. Remember record stores?
Yeah. The record stores are just, support your local record store.
Yes.
What else can I tell you?
Do it. Do it. Do you still find yourself like at Amoeba? Do you buy vinyl? Are you like a vinyl guy?
I like CDs. But I like CDs that look like an album. So
right.
That's why you'll see the Danzig stuff. It folds out like an album. I like that. I don't like plastic. I like cardboard.
The real deal.
Yeah, I like it to look like a little album. So
I get you.
Like when they re-release like AC/DC records with Bon Scott and it's like a fold-out album, I'll buy it. It looks like a little album. It's great. And plus, I still have a lot of my vinyl.
You must have a killer,
I buy a lot of
vinyl collection.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff too.
No.
Crazy horror soundtracky, strange sound effect stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And,
my pleasure anytime, you know that.
And looking forward to all that's to come.
All right.